Hey everybody, it's Ryan Metzler here again after a very long break from reviewing. You'll probably be seeing a lot of games that are not necessarily new, but are probably newer at least, or maybe just old. But anyhow, I'm back and we're going to be taking a look at a pretty big game and one that I was excited about when Gen Con rolled around earlier this year, and that game is Blood Rage. By Eric Lang and Cool Mini or Not. I had a chance to play this with Eric at Gen Con and thought it was great, and then finally was able to get my hands on a copy. So real quick, we'll take a look at this game that is kind of a war slash Ameritrash slash Euro game that uses cards for actions, but we'll take a look at kind of how it plays. We will get my opinions on it, and then we'll come back at the end and I'll sum it all up for you. So here you can see the components for Blood Rage. Now this is all a game about Viking combat and trickery and controlling guys and trying to get areas. And it's an area control game with some combat and a bunch of different things going on. But basically each player is going to control a Viking clan. Over here we have the Serpent clan. The Serpent clan has their leader, which is going to be this guy here with the staff. You'll see he has a staff. And then you're going to have a bunch of warriors. They have, in this case, there's two different models. These ones have axes, and these ones here have swords. And so there's different models for each one, and it's kind of cool that each one has its own different model. Each clan has different models as well. So the blue clan has some guys with spears instead of axes and swords. And they also have some people with staves, or spears that are face down, I guess. Different models for each one. Each player will also have one ship. They're going to have a ship that they can send out to support from fjords. So these guys are going to be pieces that you're going to move around the board for different types of strength. The leader with the strength of 3, each of the warriors starting with the strength of 1, and your ship with the strength of 2, but can only be in fjords in between different areas. Each player will also have some additional little colored rings here to indicate which one of the monsters that they can get throughout the game. For example, here's like a sea serpent monster. Which monsters that they can get throughout the game belong to them. So you simply snap them into these little bases to indicate that you control them. And once you control them, you'll control them for the remainder of the game. But this way you can change them up. In addition, their player boards will indicate several things. For example, the leader invades for free. It tells you that. It tells you the strength of the leader is 3 and the strength of your warriors is 1. It tells you the strength of your ship is 2 and it can only be in fjords. And then it tells you what your rage level is, which is essentially action points. And it tells you what your current rage marker is at, your axes marker and your horns marker. Rage will tell you how many action points you get at the start of every round. Axes will tell you how much glory you get for winning a combat out on the board, a pillaging action. And the horns will tell you how many figures you may have on the board in the game. So changing these 3 stats will help you to be better as the game progresses, either more victory points or more actions, or having more figures out on the board. The board out here is divided into different areas. You'll see there's different kind of provinces around the area in different colors. So there's gray, blue, and yellow. And then there is Yggdrasil in the middle, which is the world tree, which is the center area. And then in between some of these areas are little fjords in the water where the ships can be to help support both areas on the side. The way this game is going to work is that you're going to, every round, there are 3 rounds in the game, be dealt cards from this deck right here. This deck of cards is essentially going to be all of the cards you use for actions, and everyone in the game will be dealt 8 of these cards. So I'm just going to pull some off of the top and we'll take a look at what they are. So, everyone's going to be dealt 8 cards, and let me see if I can get closer to the camera here. These cards are going to have different types of actions or different types of things on them. So for example, this card right here is an upgrade card. As an action on one of your turns, you can spend the number of rage up here in the indicator, so 0 in this case, in order to take this as an upgrade action. And this one says after you reveal a quest card in combat, you may treat it as a +3 battle card. So you'll be revealing cards in combat. If you've upgraded your clan, which is a clan upgrade spot on your board here, you would have this ability and other players would not have it. So now you can use quest cards as battle cards. Or there may be another upgrade here. Let's take a look at this one here. It's also a clan upgrade. This clan upgrade costs 2 rage to play, and it's called Thor's Glory. And it says that you gain 2 glory when at least 2 enemies' figures are destroyed in battle you participated in. So you get more glory for killing extra guys when you fight. There are also going to be upgrades that make your warriors better, upgrades that make your leaders better, and then there are upgrades that will give you these monsters to play with in the game. Finally, there can be upgrades that make your ship better throughout the game as well. So there are 4 different types of upgrades and limited numbers of spots for them. 1 each for leader, warrior, ship, 2 monsters, and 3 clan upgrades. And you can upgrade those throughout the game using these cards. Other types of cards may be these battle cards that we were talking about. Many of these, well, they'll all be red, but many of them will have a number here in the center. This one is +0, but it has an ability under that that says, if you lose, steal 1 rage from the winning player. So you're going to steal one of their actions. More of these may have numbers in them, so this one is just +1, and at the bottom it says gain 3 glory if you win this battle. Or +3 right here is just a +3 to your attack. But others may have random in them. For example, this one right here, which is +X, where this card is the same value as the highest other revealed card. The final type of card you'll have in these is going to be quest cards. These are cards that you're trying to accomplish by the end of the round. This one is a quest for Elfheim. So it says that you want to have the most strength in Elfheim by the end of the area, in one of the Elfheim areas. So one of these 2 areas right here, you would like to have the most strength by the time the round ends. And if you do, you're going to earn 5 points towards the end of the game, so 5 glory. And that would be a good thing to do, and you also get to raise one of your stats by 1 if you accomplish this. So the 3 types of cards we have are upgrades to be played on your board. We have the attack cards to be played during battle, which you'll see momentarily. And then you have the quest cards, which you can play face down in order to try and accomplish them by the end of the round. You're going to get dealt 8 of these, and you're going to draft them around the table. If you're unfamiliar with the draft, I can't really help you. But if you're familiar with the draft, you'll take a card, pass it around until each player has 6. And then the last 2 cards will be thrown away. After you've done this, starting with the player who has the first player marker, you're going to go around the table taking actions, and there are 5 different actions you may take. The first is you may spend rage to invade, and you can invade any outer province as long as there's one of these spots open in the area. To invade, it costs you rage equal to the strength value of the guy you're invading with. So these warriors cost 1, I could spend 1 rage and put a guy out there. If there's no more empty spots here, I can't put him there, but I could put him over here. That is invading. Some figures will cost more. For example, your ship costs 2 to invade with, so it would cost you 2 rage. Your leader, it says he's a 3 strength, but it actually costs 0 to invade with him, so he's always free, but he'll count as 3 strength. That's kind of nice. After invading, there is marching. Marching is simply moving guys from one location to another. Say that I'm here in this blue area, but I've decided that I want to be elsewhere. For one rage, I may move anybody I want from one location to another as long as there are open spots there. So I can do this. Ships may not march, so once they're out, they will stay put, unless they get destroyed. The next action you can do is going to be upgrading. So you can spend your rage equal to the upgrade values on these cards to play these out. So I could play this clan upgrade for 1 rage, and if I lose a battle, I can invade in that province with a warrior for free. So next time I lose a battle there, I can send a guy back. The next action is simply questing, and anytime you want to quest, you simply take one of these cards and you put it face down on your board, indicating that you were on that quest. At the end of the round, when quests are evaluated, if you are successful in that quest, you will get some points. If you are not, this card will simply be discarded and there's no penalty. And then the final action that you can go on is called pillaging. And pillaging is when battles actually take place. So let's say that the situation is something like this. I decide on my turn that I would like to pillage this area. There is no cost for pillaging, so it doesn't cost you anything. When I pillage, what we're going to do is we're going to be comparing strengths. And right now I have 2 and my opponent has 1. If my opponent were to have his leader in here instead, he would have 3 and I would have 2 as a starting base. And there could be multiple players involved in this. There could be a 3rd player instead of the 2 players involved. Before you do anything, if there are open spots, players have the opportunity to move guys in one at a time to open spots around the table in turn order. Once the area is full or everyone has decided they do not want to move in, you will resolve the combat, but they can only move from adjacent areas. Once you're ready to resolve the combat, each player involved in that combat is going to pick one of these battle cards or any other card that they would like and play it face down to the table in order to kind of bet or add to their combat. Noting that only the red cards, unless you have some type of special ability, will add anything, and non-red cards simply don't count. When you're done, everyone will reveal their card and they will resolve any effects on those cards in order to see who will win combat, being adding strength to their units or resolving effects on there. So this one says if I lose, I actually get to steal a rage, an action point from the winning player. So maybe I'm not trying to win, maybe I'm trying to lose, and I want to steal an action point so that I can do more things later. Anyhow, once you're done with that, you'll add up the strength of your units and the strength on your additional card, and whoever has the highest strength will be the winner. If there's a clear winner, all of the opposing units will die and be sent to Valhalla. So let's say somehow this guy played a +5 and I played a 0. My guys would be sent to Valhalla and his would survive. That is good for him because he clearly won the battle. If there was a tie, all tied players are considered losers and they would be sent out in order to lose the battle and everyone would go to Valhalla. So once combat is done, let's say this guy did indeed win, the blue guy won, he now gets this result here. So he is the winner and he is going to have successfully pillaged this area. When he does so, he is going to get the reward of 1, his glory. So if his stats were currently 3 axes, he would get 3 glory and score it on the victory point track accordingly. Additionally, he is going to go ahead and get the reward for pillaging that area. And the reward for pillaging that area is he gets another horns. So he'd flip that over and he would go ahead and move up in horns. And now he may have 5 figures on the board instead of 4. So he can have extra guys out there will of course help him further his cause. Each of these areas has different rewards. Could be more axes or more rage. Could be 5 victory points. Or in Yggdrasil, if you're able to take that one over, noting that anybody can join you for the combat, you're going to get 1 of each of the different stats on your board. So there is an incentive to combat in Yggdrasil. You're going to move around the table until you run out of rage. So when a player runs out of rage, even if they have an action that takes no rage, they cannot take that action. They're done. But they can still participate in any pillaging to be done in other areas. Once everyone is out of rage, so keep going until everyone runs out, the round will end. Now you can track all of this over here, so we're in the action phases. When that's done, everyone must discard to only 1 card left in their hand. If you have more than 1, you discard down. And then you go on to quest. This is when everyone will reveal any face-down quests they have and see if they were successful in that quest, scoring points appropriately if they were. Once you're done with that, you move on to Ragnarok, or the next stage of Ragnarok, where the next area will be blown up. So these are pre-forecast, and it says Utgard here will be blown up. So this area, which is indicated by this token, will blow up. Anyone that happens to be in this area at that time will die, and they'll be sent to Valhalla. But they get points for doing so, indicated on the board. 2 points in the first round for each guy, 3 in the second round, and 4 in the third round. After that, everyone will release from Valhalla and come back to their players' kind of storage area to be able to be played on the board next round. And then you'll start another round with a new set of cards dealt out, another round of drafting and actions, followed by discarding down, questing, another area blowing up, and continuing onward until the game. Note that any of these blown up areas cannot be played in, so the board will shrink as the game goes on, and you'll have more and more kind of tight area in order to combat over as you go. Basically, that's the game, except for that you get these really cool guys that have special abilities. Some of them act as different ships for you. Some of them kind of destroy guys as soon as they move into an area when they invade. But overall, they just kind of change the dynamics of the game a little bit. The basis is going to be that area control. But know that different gods play out differently. Some of them may want you to win combat. Some of them may want you to lose combat. Some of them may want you to finish quests. And others may just give you special abilities, such as fighting extra well. So that's the game. There you have it. Let's go back and see what I think. And there you have it. That is Blood Rage from Cool Mini or Not and designer Eric Lang. Really big fan of this one. First off, the components, at least the minis, are beautiful. That's always a nice touch. I'm not really a minis guy myself, but they are really cool game pieces, and it does draw a lot of people to the table when you're playing. On top of that, I think that the design of the game is very well done. The game does have that Viking feel. And a lot of times I kind of find myself thinking, what would my clan of Vikings do? But on top of that, there are several different strategies that can work. And those are based on what type of god you're following behind. So it could be that you're the trickster and maybe you want you're following the trickster and you want your guys to die. So you're getting into combats and you're maybe faking like you're going to try and win the combat in order to make your opponent play a higher card, but at the same time you're going to lose the combat and you'll get points either for not winning and having your guys put into Valhalla, or you can steal something from your opponent when you lose, whatever it might be. Or it could be that you just want to go through and do quests. You want to have the most guys in an area and get your points that way. Or it could be that you want to be in the right area for Ragnarok. And that's certainly a viable way to get points, and I've eked out a couple games simply by being in the right place at the right time when the world is ending. So I think that there's multiple different strategies that can work. Obviously winning combat is also not a bad idea, but you get to pick and choose based on how the cards come along in that draft, and that's really interesting to me. So if that sounds good to you, check it out. That is Blood Rage from Cool Mini or Not.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.